The town called her a liar. The rancher said nothing, until the truth cost him everything. Calico Ridge, late afternoon, autumn of 1888. The wind had that crisp bite that hinted at winter, but the dust in the marketplace hung thick and still. What was normally the busiest day of the week, market day, had become something darker. The center of town was packed with farmers, traders, wives with baskets, and old men who thought they had seen every wrong a human could commit, and now they gathered for a different spectacle. In the center of the square stood Elsie Ray Holloway, her wrists tied tightly behind her back, ankles secured in iron shackles. Her dark hair was tangled and soiled, her once clean dress faded and stained from travel. In the sharp light of the afternoon, a crude sign hung from her neck, words scrawled in rough ink: "Con woman, liar, baby thief." The circle of townsfolk around her was dense. Some pointed and sneered, others folded their arms and watched in grim silence. A few older women murmured prayers under their breath, though their eyes held judgment more than mercy. A stout woman in a faded bonnet flicked the rind of an apple at Elsie's feet and snarled, "You'd steal a newborn from its own kin? What sort of creature are you?" The din of voices rose, rumors of a vanished family, the Montroses, wealthy landowners who had simply disappeared weeks before, had spread like wildfire through Calico Ridge. Then, locals had stumbled upon a newborn child in a lonely shack by the creek, with Elsie found inside, tending to her as though she were the child's own mother. It seemed a benevolent act at first, but when Elsie failed to produce any witness or document beyond her own word, suspicion wrapped itself around her like iron bands. She claimed the Montroses had entrusted their child to her. She said they gave her a letter, a document granting temporary guardianship. No one in that square had seen that letter. And in a place where land, legacy, and lineage counted for everything, the simplest explanation became the most damning. She had fabricated the story to seize the child and claim the Montrose estate. Elsie stood there without outcry or protest. She did not beg, she did not wail, she did not shout that she was innocent. She simply looked ahead, her face pale but composed. That silence made some believe she was guilty. An innocent woman would fight, they said. An innocent woman would scream. At the edge of the crowd stood Jonas Vance, 32 years old, lean from years on the Blackstone Ranch, boots still streaked with morning mud. He stood with his hands in his coat pockets, not speaking, not condemning. His expression was unreadable in the harsh light. He was the only man there who had seen a different side of Elsie, late one stormy night 6 weeks earlier, when she came to his door, soaked and desperate, holding a crumpled piece of paper and begging him to read it. He remembered the letter clearly, now folded and hidden in his private chest back at the ranch. He was the only witness who could corroborate her story, but to produce it would mean revealing more than her innocence. The letter spoke of fear and haste. The Montroses had fled the law after some shady land deals fell apart. In it was a plea, an explicit request that Elsie care for their infant daughter until the turmoil passed. And buried in the margin was a name that made Jonas's stomach drop, his own. The letter hinted that he was the illegitimate son of Mr. Montrose, a truth he had never shared with anyone. If Jonas brought the letter forward, if he confirmed it was real, he would be revealing his own origin, unraveling every bit of respectability he had painstakingly earned in Calico Ridge. He had worked the Blackstone Ranch from dawn to dusk, built a reputation on honest labor, refused to lean on family ties even if they existed. So he stood in the back and watched. He did not shout, he did not intervene. And the townspeople jeered and judged her. Elsie's silence did not make her appear innocent. It made her appear guiltier still. And Jonas's silence bore witness not to doubt, but to fear. In that moment, while the sun beat down and dust swirled at their feet, A woman stood condemned, not because of evidence, but because no one would speak the truth. The rain that night was soft but steady, soaking the dirt road that led from the chapel to the edge of Blackstone Ranch. The horses had long been stabled, the lanterns dimmed. Jonas Vance had just finished his supper when the knock came. He opened the door to find a figure barely standing. Elsie Ray Holloway, drenched to the skin, clutched something close to her chest. Her dark hair stuck to her face, and her boots sloshed when she stepped into the light. Without waiting for invitation, she looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. "They told me to trust you," she whispered. "They wrote it in the letter, and they left the baby with me." She handed him the bundle she carried. It was a child, no older than a few weeks, silent, warm, asleep. Jonas blinked, but before he could say a word, she reached into her coat and brought out a folded letter, soggy with rain. The paper trembled in her hand. She passed it to him with quiet urgency. He took it and stepped inside. The fire crackled low in the hearth,